All right, we're on to triangle choke from guard. So triangle choke is one of the more classic submissions in jiu-jitsu, and it's still super, super relevant. Triangle, armbar, omoplata, rear naked choke, all that stuff. Cross collar if you're in the gi. They're moves that have been around for a long, long time. They're still used very heavily. There's some stuff that comes in and out of fashion. Triangle never goes out of fashion. It's very, very common submission in jiu-jitsu tournaments and in MMA competitions, so it works. All right, so let's start I think the sort of diagonal view will be the best for this one to start. So the triangle choke is a choke where you actually use your legs to choke your opponent, right? So we're gonna show you the two most common setups that result in finishes. So I'm in closed guard right here, and as Dan is sitting here with his good posture and everything, what I'm gonna do for this first one, which is the, some people call it the shotgun, because you have one hand, like you're setting up a shotgun, right? Pumping shotgun. I'm gonna grab both his hands like this, and this can be different, right? You can grab gi grips if you want to be in the gi. You can grab different grips if you're more familiar with them, but this is the easiest one to learn with, right? So you have both these overhand scoop grips right here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my legs to bring Dan in, and as Dan starts trying to build himself back up, I'm gonna punch one hand in, pull one hand out, and just throw my hips up, right? So as you can see, this leg right here is coming over Dan's shoulder, which causes this arm to be out of the triangle, and this leg is under Dan's arm, which causes this arm to be inside the triangle. So outside the triangle, inside the triangle. From right here, I want this leg to be flush against Dan's neck, because that's gonna be us cutting off the blood on the side of his neck. So this knee, I wanna aim it to be pretty tight against his neck. If you're flexible enough, if you have good enough hip power and everything, you can just pick your hips up, throw this leg over, and lock it on your leg. Most people, when they first start doing jiu-jitsu, are not able to do that. So what you want to do is, as you throw this leg over, you're just going to cross your ankles first, right? So this is going to be like a loose triangle, and a loose triangle is used to control the person. From here, what you want to do is sit up and grab your own shin. You're grabbing your own shin so you control his posture, because we're going to open up the triangle. We're going to open up the triangle, put this foot either on the mat or on our opponent's hip, depending on how tall you are compared to him, and we're going to turn ourselves sideways like this. So now when I turn myself sideways, I'm crossing my triangle behind Dan's shoulder or tricep instead of behind his lat. When I go across his back, it's a really long stretch, and that's largely what causes it to be difficult to close our triangle at the knee. If we go around his shoulder or even around his tricep right here, let's do an even more severe angle, so around the tricep right here, it's just a much shorter stretch. So from here, I'm holding onto my shin, I take this leg. Now it's pretty easy for me to put my knee over my shin right there. Ideally, perfect finishing position, pick up my hips, pull his arm across, drop him back down. So I have Dan with his arm across his neck on this side, with my leg against his neck on this side. So now from here, they call it a triangle, but it's kind of like a square, right? I have one side, two sides, three sides, four sides. I'm going to squeeze my legs together. I'm gonna lift up my hips, and then I'm gonna pull down on his head. And that's gonna put in pressure from both sides, from the bottom, and from the top, which is gonna cause him to lose consciousness if he doesn't tap. So lift my hips up, squeeze my legs, hold my head, boom, he taps, because he has more blood going to his brain, basically. Not basically, literally. Trying to make it sound nicer than it is, but that's the effect, that's how it works, right? So we have just the shotgun jump, where we just shove the hand in when we jump into the triangle. And the second super common one, which is not just common, both these aren't just common, they're common and they have very high percentage of success. The second one we're gonna do, we bring the legs in. When Dan's posture is broken, we're gonna grab behind his collar. So this hand is grabbing the back of his collar to control his posture here. And this hand is gonna stay on this wrist, so I have some control of this arm. Now as Dan tries to posture up, most of the time he's gonna put his hands on my body like this to help himself push up. I'm gonna put my feet on the mat, I'm gonna trim, and then I'm gonna use this knee to push his arm down. When I push that arm down, it leaves me a perfect opportunity to maintain control of this wrist, pull his head, jump here, and now I end up in my loose triangle again. I end up in the same position. It's just, if the person's pushing on your body, they're not just giving you, noodle arm control where you can just hit the shotgun jump. The person's like pushing real hard to build themselves up. If you have control of that head, you can use your knee to kill that arm and jump into the same loose triangle. So now we're in the loose triangle again. I'm gonna sit up and grab my shin, open it. The reason why I'm grabbing my shin is if I don't grab my shin and I open this, Dan's just gonna posture out of the triangle. Come back down into it. If I grab onto my shin and let go, now try to posture out. Very hard, right? It's almost as strong as my leg being closed. So from right here, foot goes onto his hip or onto the mat, cut the angle severely across his arm, this leg, knee closes over my ankle, pick my hips up, pull his arm across, drop back down, squeeze my legs, pick up my hips, pull his head, got the triangle. All right, so let's hit it from this angle right here. So you can see every side of what's working, right? So this time we're gonna do shotgun again. So I bring Dan in, this hand goes in, this hand comes out, throw my legs up, grab my loose triangle. From the loose triangle, grab onto my shin, step onto his hip or onto the mat, either or, depending how tall you are compared to your opponent. I'm close enough to Dan's height where I can step on his hip, which is, in my opinion, it's easier. If you're a lot taller than somebody, you want to put your foot on the mat and go like that, just because sometimes this stretch is impossible. But since that's not the case here, I'm gonna put this foot on Dan's hip. I'm gonna use that, turn myself like the hand of a clock, right there. So now I'm across his arm instead of across his back. This knee comes and closes over this ankle, hips up, arm across, squeeze my legs, pull his head, lift my hips up, got my triangle right there. And then let's do one more with the knee beats arm. So this time we're right here, I pull Dan down, I grab the collar grip right here, which is much more difficult for him to fight against. As he starts to fight, he puts his hands on me to get extra strength to get his posture back, which is fine, so I'm gonna shrimp, use my knee to push his arm out of the way, and then come back into that exact same loose triangle. From the loose triangle, grab onto my shin, step on his hip, turn across his arm, knee over the shin, head down, hips up, legs together, arm across. We got our triangle choke there. So that's the basics of the triangle choke and the two most common setups to it.